But we do know they both are against Christ. Now, back to Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 through 12. Notice the mission of the second beast. Verse 12 tells us this beast comes to cause the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast. The job of this beast is to make the people worship the first beast. Note the word worship. That is the real message here that we must hold on to in this sermon. Worship. The second beast caused people to worship the first beast. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 17 clearly reveals that the center of attraction is worship. This warfare is basically a battle of who we must worship. It reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." The beast, whose aim is to promote the interest of the devil, will compel everyone to receive a mark by which they will be identified with the beast. This is not going to be optional, as many that refuse to accept the mark of the beast will not be able to buy or sell. The central issue is that of worship. The two beasts would want all of humanity to focus on them so that they can become the object of worship. The beasts want to restrain everyone from worshiping the one and only true God. But the Christians that will be living through this period will be required to hang on. They will be required to place their faith in God, even in impossible odds like these. People will be face to face with the option of having to choose who exactly they will serve, either God or the devil. At this point, no one can pretend to be serving God while he or she is not, because you have to choose between two options which will clearly reveal your stand.
Besides using less energy, besides owning nothing and being happy, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum say it's time for you to start eating bugs. No, really, I'm not kidding. What's up, guys? I'm nobody special, and this video just came out from the World Economic Forum. I got to send a shout out to Jim Lewis over at Wall Street Silver who posted this video. My God, folks, this reads like a dystopian sci-fi movie, and I'm not kidding. Let's get into this.
It takes a fraction of the resources to grow a pound of crickets as it does a pound of beef. And so the amount of water it takes, the greenhouse gas emissions that it emits compared to the livestock, the amount of land that's required, the amount of feed that's required, there are so many factors that just lead to, this is kind of smart.
Okay, first things first. Doesn't that dish of mealworms, i.e. maggots, doesn't that just look yummy? Can't you picture Klaus Schwab eating that or Larry Fink eating that? Are they going to serve that at the next White House Correspondents' Dinner? All the people who are pushing this on us, are they going to eat it? Of course not. This is for us. This is for the plebs to eat. You also notice he's talking all about resource requirements, about how much feed it takes, about how much land it takes. Of course, the greenhouse gas emissions, right? Everything has to be about the climate right now. Here is the message. This sacrifice needs to be made. We need to eat bugs in order to save the planet. And I mean we. They even said we all, but what they're really saying is you all, because the World Economic Forum members will not be doing this. Remember, Klaus Schwab and his henchmen will be the last ones to put a bug in their mouth. And if they want to prove me wrong, I would love to see a video of Klaus Schwab eating that frying pan full of maggots. Go ahead, Klaus. You'll forgive me if I don't hold my breath.
went out the window with the vaccine, didn't it, Leah? And let's talk about who wants this. Who's pushing for a cashless society? Is it our government? Is it other governments? Or is it an unelected elite?
Well, I believe it is the unelected elite, which is in control of all governments. So the World Economic Forum are talking about actually bringing out a carbon allowance. So each individual in this world will be given a carbon allowance, which means there's a certain amount of carbon that they are allowed to emit. This is easily put into effect through a central bank digital currency because the currency is programmable. It's digital, which literally means it can be programmed to be spent on certain things. And people might say, this sounds pretty crazy, but I think it's totally realistic. If you just look at the height of the COVID pandemic in Canada, for example, if you weren't vaccinated, you had to be chaperoned to go into certain stores to ensure that you only bought essential items because, you're unvaccinated and therefore, you're dirty and dangerous. So with a central bank digital currency, what that basically means is it's a lot more efficient now to discriminate against people because you don't need to have those COVID marshals. You just program the money so that unvaccinated people can't spend that money on certain items. There's also really another dangerous thing, which I just want to explain as well. The money can also actually expire. So what this means is during times of economic uncertainty, central banks actually like to print more money in order to stimulate the economy because they need that money to change hands. So we could get to a situation whereby they say, okay, guys, for your greater good, of course, we need to stimulate the economy. If you don't spend, let's say, 10% of your current savings, what you have sitting in the bank in the next 3 months, that money is going to expire. And that's pretty awful. It means, you can't build long-lasting generational wealth. It means you're forever a slave to the 9 to 5.
It sounds like the end of human rights, the end of personal autonomy, and the idea of a carbon allowance, that essentially rations the number of flights we can take every year, possibly how much we drive our car, or if we own a car. It might even be that we can only have steak once a week. This is the extreme outlook if we are slaves to these digital currencies.
Absolutely. It's really concerning. And again, I always like to look back to what happened over the last 2 years. They literally limited how much time we were allowed to spend with our loved ones. We weren't allowed to go into hospital to see, elderly family that were dying and that were sick. So to think that they wouldn't limit what we're allowed to spend on certain items would simply be naive. You could go to fill up your car, but your central bank digital currency gets blocked or refused because, you bought too many plane tickets. And I don't think people understand the severity of this. Money is literally the energy which fuels your life. If you do not have freedom of money, you don't have freedom of anything. You can't buy that ticket to go to protest the lockdowns. You can't, feed yourself with the kind of food that you'd like to feed yourself. Maybe, your money only works to eat bugs because because you bought too much meat this week. So when you control the money, you control the world.
That's right. This is not science fiction. It's not a conspiracy theory, is it, Leah? The smiling fascist Justin Trudeau in Canada froze the bank accounts of truckers who were simply protesting against vaccine passports. And China has the social credit system. This is real. This is not a drill. Explain how it works in China and why we must resist.
So essentially, because China is that communist state, that communist nation, everything that you do is monitored and tracked. So if you say the wrong thing, you like the wrong thing on social media, on their version of social media, then you're given a credit score. And if your credit score falls too low because, you held that wrong opinion, then your money will be refused. So you and I simply having this conversation could potentially bring our social credit score a little bit lower. So, if I'd like to buy a plane ticket back to England so I can come on your show, or I can see my family, my C.B.D.C, could get refused because I had this conversation with you, bringing my social credit score lower. It's a little bit like actually Black Mirror, if you've seen it. Black Mirror is literally just this Netflix program which shows us a very realistic tomorrow.